Greetings, everyone. This is Mustafaa, your digital marketing specialist, the founder of Digital Marketing with Mustafaa. We are back live with another video broadcasting across Facebook and LinkedIn this time. This is a session and a segment that I'm intending to incorporate into my content output going forward, where I asked on my Facebook page, Digital Marketing with Mustafaa, is there any followers out there, anyone that have any questions that are related to digital marketing, content, personal branding, AI, things that are up in my field, so that I can go live? I will take those questions and attempt to answer them online, and therefore provide value to the community and allow people to just really understand things a little better and move forward in their journey. So this is the inaugural, I think, episode of this initiative and this campaign to do a Q&A live, where I will, during the week, gather questions that people submit to me, and we will go live once a week, and we will attempt to answer those questions and give a little clarity and allow them to move forward. So before I do jump into the questions for today, I would like to ask you, if you have any questions, to put them in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or another channel that this may be rebroadcast on. Go ahead and put those questions in the comments now or during this broadcast, and I will look at them. And if it's something that I can address and give some clarity to, I will try to include that in a upcoming video as the weeks go by, and we'll answer your question live and give you some clarity. So, as I mentioned, today's show is dedicated to two questions that were put to me by some followers on my Facebook page, and we want to look at those questions and see what kind of insights I can give to them and some clarity. And in answering their questions, I may answer the questions of many who may have this on their mind. So, first question up, we have Brother Yaya. He asks, what's the one mistake you see people making over and over that keeps them from growing, and what's the first step they should take to fix it? So, by mistake you see people making over and over that keeps them from growing, and what's the first step they should take to fix it, we assume that he's talking about social media, online, the digital landscape. One thing that I see repeatedly when I do my social media audits, when people hire me to manage their social media profiles, I do an audit and I try to look back a few days, weeks, up to 90 days to see what type of cadence and what type of movement that they have with their social media profiles. And the number one problem that I see with people doing any type of social media activity is lack of consistency. And by lack of consistency, I mean it's not that they're not posting, but there's long periods of gaps in posting where they may post, what is this? They may have posted this week of July, but they may not post it but until May before that. And then if you see postings from them from May, they may not post it a whole month before that. So sometime in April. And from April, they may not post it until January before that. So you may see from January to April, no activity. Then April they did some activity. And then a month later in May, they may have did some activity. And then 2 months later in July, they may have did some activity. So that is a common problem that I see going on when I do my audits, that people just don't have the consistency. And the reason why sometimes they don't have the consistency is because social media, you can post, you can put up your best content, and sometimes you don't get that response. You don't get any likes, you don't get any comments, you don't get any shares. And you do that over a period of time, and it can become discouraging, where you kind of think, what am I even doing this for? Why am I wasting my time? So you may lose the confidence or the desire to post because you're not getting the results that you want from posting. So they will sometimes give up. And then they may get the spark and desire to post again. That's why you see them. They may pick up a month later. Well, let me try this again. Let me put another post out there. And they may post for a week, and then they may not see results again. And so they lose the momentum, and then you may not see them for another 2 months. So that's one of the biggest problems and the biggest opportunities I see, and actually one of the easiest things to correct. Because if you're inconsistent, then the solution is that to be consistent, but to be consistent with strategy, understanding why you're not getting any results, why people are not responding, why you're not getting likes and shares. So it's switching to becoming consistent. It's understanding why you may be posting at the wrong time. You may be posting the right content to the wrong audience. You may not be understanding the needs of your audience. So you're posting stuff, but it's not resonating with the people because it's not fulfilling their needs. There's many reasons why, your content cannot be getting picked up by people. And sometimes it's just to build an audience, it takes time. I always tell people when I step on board to do any type of social media management or any type of help with their social media pages, you got to give it at least 90 days of just consistent plugging at it, that you're training the algorithm and you're getting an audience used to seeing you and learning your flavor and learning your style and learning your vibe. It takes a while to build an audience sometimes because there are um, thousands and millions of people out there competing for the your audience attention, and so you have to be consistent so that they learn to rely on you and trust you and follow you. So that's the first major thing I see mistakes people making over and over that keeps them from growing is lack of consistency, but it's something that can be very easily corrected. And related to that is lack of consistency can also be hesitation, because sometimes we may think that everything had to be perfect. My video got to be polished. I got to have the best camera. I got to have the best sound quality. I got to be able to edit. I got to be able to do, overlays. I got to be a cap cut wizard. And I don't feel that my content is up to par. So I'm going to not post until I get it right or make it more polished. And that can be the same with social media graphics. That can be the same with your memes. That can be the same with YouTube. That can be the same with going live like this. You may think, um, I don't know enough to talk about this subject, so I'm not going to go live. I don't feel that my audience will receive me if I go live. So the hesitation and the lack of consistency comes from hesitation, from the need to sometimes think we need to be perfect. But there's a saying that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So I always tell people, even if your first video or your first few videos are not perfect and they may be laughable, go ahead and put them out there, because the more you put them out there, the more you're going to improve, the more you're going to get better, the more you're going to polish, the more you're going to figure out, well, that those last 5 videos didn't work, so let me try it this way. So you're constantly iterating and correcting and polishing, and you're never going to get better if you don't take a plunge in to try and get started. So I would say, brother Yaya, to answer your question, the number one problem that I see is consistency. The opportunity is to become, excuse me, is lack of consistency. The solution is to become consistent, and don't let hesitation because you feel that you're not perfect to cause you to withhold and to hesitate and to not put your stuff out there. Even if it's not perfect, go ahead and put that stuff out there. And I know you will. You're a great content creator. I see a lot of your content out there. But speaking to everyone, don't let the need to be perfect stop you from putting out content, because if you have stuff that can help people and your video may not be perfect, they're just glad that you're helping them. They're not caring about the lighting may have been a little bit off. They're not caring that maybe you didn't do all the right overlays, or your captions may not they're not worried about none of that. If you can solve their problem in a reel or a video or a meme or whatever type of content you put out, they're overlooking the perfection They're just glad that a solution was there. And oftentimes it's us that's judging our content so harshly, not necessarily the audience judging our content so harshly. So, brother Yaya and anyone out there, go ahead and put that content out there and just correct it as you go. If you go back and look at some of my videos, they're probably laughable by today, but I just put them out there. Even if I was hesitant, even if I was tripping over my words, if I was misspeaking, I went ahead and put that stuff out there. And now, I can talk on video confident, I can talk poised, I can look at the camera with confidence, my eyes, I'm not looking down, I'm not looking over, I'm not, what I wanted to say, I'm just talking straight and speaking clearly. You can do the same. So that leads into our next question from Arilis Shabir Smith, another Facebook follower. She asks, how do you choose what to post when you have thousands of things floating in your mind? How do you eliminate the intent of posting but never getting to it so the day doesn't go by and you didn't take action? That's a really, really good question. And that's something that, even I still struggle with. So, how do you choose what to post when you have thousands of things floating in your mind? So I would say a realist and anyone listening is take yourself out of the equation and think about what problems can you solve. Think about who is your target audience and think about what problems can you solve for them. Let's use myself for an example. I am Mustafaa, your digital marketing specialist. My audience consists of people who are looking for digital marketing information, content information, personal branding information, AI information. So to solve their problems, it's me clarifying digital marketing, it's me clarifying, content, whether it's content repurposing, whether it's the right type of content, whether it's the right time to publish that content, whether it's to put a reel out or do a long form video on YouTube, whether it's, slicing up a long form video and making little bite-sized nuggets content. What's a good topic to talk about? What's going on in AI this week? That's always a good topic. So I would say is think about what problems can you solve. And when you think like that, there's always problems to solve depending on your niche or niche that you're in. Now I know I realize that you're in the travel agency and helping people with that opportunity. So I would just say think about what are some of their pain points and what are some of their problems, and then write down what are those common problems that people in your niche or niche are going through, and what knowledge do you have to solve those problems. And then you decide what type of content you're going to create to solve those problems. Sometimes solving that problem may be doing a 2-minute reel, where you address a particular subject. Sometimes it may be creating a nice, attractive meme where you put some graphics and you put a little message on there, a little quote, and that addresses someone's needs. Sometimes it's going live like this and addressing someone's needs. Like, my audience had 2 questions. That was a need for them. So I went live to address their need. So this is me creating content. I didn't today I didn't think about, what should I post. I thought about what needs can I serve, and the needs that I needed to serve were the 2 questions that were put to me by my audience. So this is content that came out of a need, a desire to fulfill, some needs. So that's what I would say to when you have so many things floating around in your mind, and I do too. I have so many thoughts during the week. And another thing I would say, a realist and anyone listening, is you have to write down those ideas, because sometimes I have great ideas. I have a great real idea or a blog post idea or a meme idea. And the worst thing that happens is I don't write it down and then I forget it. And I try to spend hours trying to think, what was that idea, that video idea? It was a good one too. And then I spend time thinking, and sometimes the thought doesn't come back to you. Sometimes it does in the best case situation. But I would say get into the habit, because we're constantly thinking of stuff. If we're in a particular industry or a niche or a niche, we're constantly thinking about stuff. Thoughts are flowing through our mind all day, every day, right? And I would just say start writing down some of those ideas. Like this idea, the Q&A, it was an idea. So, I have my notes on my phone. Me put on my iPhone. You have the notes app on your iPhone, or you have the reminder app. Just start writing down some of them ideas as they come to you during the week. And ideas that come in that moment, they don't have to be acted in that moment or during that week, but just if you write down all those ideas, you know, you're going to build a database of ideas, and you can always go back in a week where you lack ideas. You can go down that list. Oh man, I thought about that 2 weeks ago. This is a great idea. Let me still run with it, because the people, they don't know that the idea was 2 weeks old. They just benefited from it now. So I would say get into the habit of writing down ideas when they come to you. Whether it's an idea for a reel, an idea for a blog post, an idea for an article, an idea for a social media post, an idea for a book, a PDF download. When those ideas come to you, just start writing them down. And then you can just work on fleshing them out during that week, or just hold them for future content production. So to answer your question, um, let's go back and look at it again. I would say, how do you choose what to post when you have thousands of things floating in your mind? Think about what problems can you solve and what problems need to be solved by your audience. And when you think like that, a whole bunch of ideas are going to come up in your head, because people always have problems. And you just have to narrow down what are those problems, what are those pain points, and then you go to work creating content to solve those problems with the solution that you have in whatever industry, your niche thing that you're in. Then you just solve those problems from your perspective and from your knowledge base, and then get into the habit of writing down ideas when they come to you. Um, and also, let's look at this again. How do you eliminate the intent of posting but never get into it, so that the day doesn't go by and you didn't take action? That's a really, really good question. I didn't. Let me answer that. Arillis and anyone listening, one of the best ways to do that is what I like to do on Sunday. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But batch create your content on a Sunday maybe, and then whatever social media platform that you're using, they all have scheduling tools. Facebook has a scheduling tool, Instagram has a scheduling tool, um, YouTube has a scheduling tool, TikTok has a scheduling tool. I don't think I've used it, but I'm sure they have one as well. LinkedIn might have a scheduling tool, but in either case, if you don't want to go through those individual social media platforms to schedule your content, there's a app called Buffer and another one called Later. And what these allow you to do is you can plug in all your content for a week, right? And then you can schedule your post to be scheduled to go out during the week, like Monday at 7:15 a.m. I want this post to post to Facebook and TikTok. And then on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m., I want this post to post to Instagram and Facebook. And then on Friday, I want this post to post on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I want them to post at 5:30 p.m., right? And so you've already set and scheduled all your content for the week. So you don't have to think about, on Monday, what should I put out? Wednesday, what should I put out? Friday, what should I put out? Because you've already scheduled this stuff, and it's already going to post at the date and the time that you've already um, scheduled. Because life's a lot. And during the week, so many things are competing for our attention and for our hands to do things. And sometimes our posting can be the last thing on the schedule, and sometimes it gets missed because If you work a full-time job and you may, if you're still in child rearing stage, or you got grandchildren, or you're just doing after work activities, or you have to come home and cook and clean and do a lot of things, it may be hard to really have to post, to record a reel and then try to remember to post that on that same day. And you cap um, add that up during the week times 5 days, it can become overwhelming. But if you just try to batch create your content on a Sunday or whatever day you choose, right? And then just schedule it during the week, whether it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday cadence, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday cadence, whatever way you do. I think that would help so much, so that regardless of whatever happened during the week, you may be ill, you may get sick. And if you're sick, you definitely not thinking about recording a video. You're not thinking about putting none out. You're thinking about, bed rest and getting better. But if you get sick that week or whatever happens, your content is already scheduled and it's already going out regardless. Your audience is going to be fed regardless. So I would add and submit to think about scheduling your content in advance, so that whatever happens in your personal life, and your content is already going on out there. So let me check my chat here. Okay, no one's on the chat. All right. So those are the things that I would suggest. I hope that answered both of the followers' questions. Brother Yaya had a question about, what was the biggest thing, the biggest problem you see, and solution to that. And the realist talked about how do you post when you have so many things going on, and how do you post when you have the intent to, but you miss. So those are the answers that I have to those questions. Again, this is a segment that I want to do going forward. If you found value by this program, definitely put it in the comments. If you have questions that you would like me to tackle in next week's video, go ahead and put those in the comments for this video right here. I will look at them if I can answer them. If it's in my area of expertise and knowledge, I'm glad to go ahead and look at it and answer that. But in any case, thank you for tuning in to this video. Check me out at digitalmarketingwithmustafaa.com. That is digitalmarketingwithmustafaa.com. I just refreshed my website, so it is awesome. It is amazing. It is polished. I would definitely like you to go ahead and check out my new website, Digital Marketing with Mustafa, and check it out and tell me what you think about it. I've added a lot of value to the website, and I think you would like the new experience. So this is Mustafa, your digital marketing specialist. Go ahead and sign off. I'll see you next time. Peace.